All right, so welcome to another deep dive. You know how we do it here. You send us the info and we dive in. Today's dive, it's a pretty interesting one, actually. We're looking at Zen Benefiel, and
Yeah.
we've got a really cool mix of stuff you sent over, YouTube transcripts, even a CV excerpt.
Yeah, definitely a lot to unpack here.
For sure.
Yeah.
But, after going through all of it, I think our mission for this deep dive is becoming pretty clear, right? We need to figure out how Zen's focus changed over time. What were those big turning points and what kind of connects it all together?
Absolutely. That's the thread we're trying to follow here.
Okay, so let's get into it. One of the first things that jumped out at me from the CV was this huge career shift. I mean, before all the One World stuff in the books, he's a production control coordinator at an aerospace company.
Right.
I mean, that's a pretty different world. We're talking millions in shipments, making sure those military supplies are on track. Not exactly, new age vibes, right?
Yeah, it's a stark contrast for sure. But even in that kind of environment, I think we see those early hints of interconnectedness, right? Think about it. Managing global supply chains, you need to be able to see the whole system, how all the parts fit together. I think that foundation might have actually shaped his one world vision in ways we wouldn't expect.
It's almost like a precursor, right?
Exactly.
So then we get to this experience he talks about in college. I mean, this is where it gets really interesting. He's meditating, hears a voice, then sees these pinpoints of light all in a sphere. And they're supposed to be like future collaborators for this new world administration. I mean, that's a pretty big leap from, managing logistics.
Yeah, it is. It's almost like a visionary experience, right?
Totally.
But I think it's important to see how that early experience, as personal and maybe even esoteric as it seems, became like a guiding principle for him. It points to this deep desire for global connection cooperation, something he was clearly trying to make happen in different ways.
Oh. And one of the first ways he tries to do that is, public access television, right?
Right.
Early 90s, he co-creates One World with Rodger Schnellenberger, the intro you sent over. It says the whole point of the show was to, and I'm quoting here, raise consciousness about a global perspective. So back then, what did One World even mean to Bruce at the time?
Well, if we tie it back to that vision he had, I think One World was an early attempt to make that interconnection real. In the show, Bruce was really into what he called New Age ideas. Basically, he wanted to find a balance between all the different belief systems out there.
So it wasn't about pushing one specific belief.
No, not at all.
It was more about seeing all these different sides, understanding what makes people tick.
Exactly. He wanted to go deeper than just agreeing on the surface. He even talks about wanting to give people basic information on all sorts of things like metaphysics, socioeconomics. I mean, that's a pretty broad range. It was about building a shared understanding.
Yeah. And he also wanted the show to be, down to earth, practical and relatable. He wanted to walk the talk, as he put it. There's this one part in that first episode, and it really stuck with me. He says he wants to see less criticism, less judgment between people. It feels, really relevant even now.
It is. And when you think about that, along with the themes of harmony and global perspective that were so central to One World, you can see the early stages of his bigger vision starting to take shape.
So One World is kind of like a testing ground, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
And from there, he starts developing this idea for an international cultural center, right? It's this place where psychology, spirituality, and science all work together to solve global issues. It's a pretty ambitious goal.
It is ambitious, but the CV shows just how much Zen was doing during this period. It's like he was putting together a toolkit,
Totally.
all these different skills and experiences, all for this one big vision.
Okay, so let's talk tools. He organizes Earth Concert 1989, which was all about ecosystem regeneration. So early on, we see that commitment to the environment. And then there are the books, over 30 books, all about personal transformation. That's a lot of writing.
It is. It shows a real dedication to helping people grow, and beyond that, he's mentoring, he's coaching small business owners. He really wanted people to succeed, and all that practical experience working with businesses, it must have given him a really solid understanding of how organizations work and how hard it is to make change happen, even when you have the best intentions.
And we can't forget the consulting, right? He works with over 200 small businesses. It's like he's taking those organizational skills he learned in aerospace and using them in a totally different way.
Exactly. And then you add in all the other stuff, organizational development, team building, public speaking. He even does desktop publishing, gets a secondary teacher certification. It's incredible how many different skills he was building.
And then there's the formal education, right? He gets a BS and MA in business administration, gets certified in life coaching and hypnotherapy. Oh, and he even gets an honorary doctor of divinity. It's like he was looking at this vision from every angle: business, psychology, spirituality.
Right, and that's what's so fascinating. All these different experiences, from aerospace logistics to coaching to spiritual exploration, they all fed into his vision for a better world. He was drawing from such a diverse range of knowledge and skills.
So it's 2009, and everything seems to come together with PlanetaryCitizens.net. The CV describes it as, let me get this right, a 509(a)(2) organization.
Right.
It was focused on personal development, management, strategic planning. And then there's this phrase, coagulating possibilities from chaos. What did that even mean at this point?
So a 509(a)(2) organization is basically a public charity that gets a lot of its funding from grants and donations. That usually means they're really focused on the community. As for coagulating possibilities from chaos, I think it's about bringing order and purpose to difficult situations, finding solutions in the messiness of life. And he completes the MIT series on transforming business, society, and self around this time. It really shows his commitment to creating positive change on a larger scale.
So then we fast forward to 2021, and Luba inspires him to launch the One World in a New World podcast. The YouTube transcript says it was all about thought leaders who are bridging those inner and outer realities to get real results. Doesn't that sound a lot like the original One World show?
Yeah, the connection is definitely there, and it's clearly resonating with a lot of people. I mean, 1.5 million views by March 2025. That's huge.
Absolutely.
The podcast intro on YouTube really emphasizes this ongoing journey of self-discovery and the search for harmony.
Right, right. And even in the podcast transcripts we see those same ideas from before. Interconnectedness, that age of accountability phrase Bruce used that way back in the first One World episode. It's amazing to see how these ideas stick with him for decades.
Yeah, and what's interesting is how the Apocalyptic Chat's YouTube channel, which is all about the Planetary Citizens movement, frames its mission. The transcripts we have, they really emphasize this belief in humanity and the planet being connected. It helps us see Zen's work as part of this bigger picture, like he's part of this long line of people who've been pushing for global citizenship.
It gives it this historical context, right? It shows that planetary citizenship wasn't just some random idea that popped up out of nowhere. And so we get to, like, the latest developments. Live and let live becomes the new philosophy, and Planetary Citizens gets official nonprofit status in 2023. What does all that tell us?
Well, I think live and let live might be a way of refining the approach, focusing on individual freedom and respect within the bigger idea of planetary citizenship. And getting nonprofit status, it gives the organization a more solid foundation. And the website rebuild and the co-creation wheel, they show that he's still focused on building community and working together.
So looking back, we see a pretty amazing journey, right? From aerospace to public access TV to all that personal and professional growth, and finally, a nonprofit and a really popular podcast. It's quite a transformation.
It really is. And through it all, there's this one thing that stays the same. This commitment to connecting people, promoting harmony, and saying, hey, we all have a responsibility to the world. That early vision he had in college, it seems like it never really went away.
So for you listening, what really stood out to you about Zen's journey? It's a pretty wild ride, right? How does seeing this kind of long-term evolution with all its twists and turns make you think about your own path? Maybe those seemingly random experiences you've had, just like Zen's jump from aerospace to global consciousness. Maybe they all connect in ways you haven't even thought of yet. It's something to think about for sure. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Absolutely. Thanks for listening.